Check out this beautiful view. And I'm on a hammock. I was just playing piano, and I actually wanted to play piano for you guys, but I don't feel ready. I'm too self-conscious, and I feel like it's just, I don't feel like I've practiced enough, and I feel really self-conscious, but maybe eventually I'll do it for you guys. And actually I want to get really good at it, and it's funny because I look and act like I'm retired or something, even though like I'm still doing stuff, working. Like people be like, yeah, like what do you do for work? And you know, we meet people all the time and they're like, what do you do for work? And I don't really know what to say. Like, what do I do for work? I don't know. Like, I make videos. I, have a website. I have a shop. Like, the stuff that I do are not really services. Oh, it's so sunny all of a sudden. They're not really services. They're mostly things that I sell. Like, the only thing that requires a lot of active work is my videos and like the marketing that I do online, or like Twitter and things like that. And honestly, for me, that's more of a hobby. That's something that I enjoy. Like these videos, it's like a coincidence if you enjoy them, but they're really for me because I love making videos and I love talking about my life and I love like doing whatever I want. I was just singing a song. Maybe I'll sing it for you guys. But also, thanks for everyone that watches these videos. Like, I don't expect that people will like it. And in fact, part of why I started coming out with these videos again and why I thought it was an appropriate time is because I feel like I'm in like this transitioning period where I'm just trying to weed out, because I just have so many people in my personal life. Like I've been in so many worlds, I've known so many people, and it is really overwhelming to know so many people if you're the kind of person that is so hyper aware of like everybody's needs and expectations, and even the people that you haven't met, and you just like, it's just too overwhelming for me to know so many people. So I've been actually trying to weed out people in my life. And for me, the thing that's the most important for me in like the kind of people that I want in my life is people that I can just be myself around, that I can say whatever I want in front of, that I can do whatever I want, that I can, everybody needs that, right? So these videos, like, I love being authentic and real, and I was hoping that it would kind of weed out all the people in my life that would be uncomfortable with this kind of like realness, that might feel like I'm, they're gonna feel unsafe if they're gonna be around me. Luckily for my personal relationship, it hasn't scared my partner away yet. Maybe it will eventually. Like, never say never, right? Don't push your luck or whatever they call it. But so it hasn't scared my partner away so far, and but very surprisingly, it hasn't scared away like people that we know. In fact, like a lot of people that I know, I mean, there's just so many people, so I don't know. Some people it might have scared away, but like there's people that I know that have been reaching out and like really enjoying the videos, and like or we're like, oh, I have this thing that I want to promote, can you help me promote it? Or can you, oh my god, it's so sunny. Gonna go inside, can't be bothered with this. How nice is this view, by the way? It's so pretty. It's like one of my favorite things about being in this place. Oh my god. So yeah, I've actually been getting some people that are like, yeah, can you like help me promote my business or promote my this or that? And I was just surprised because I was expecting to be weeding out a lot of people with these videos. So anyways, thanks for anyone who enjoys it and is letting me know. And yeah, otherwise, I hope everyone's having a great day. So in the last few videos, people have been asking, some people have been asking questions, and I haven't really been responding or answering to everybody, partially because it takes time and focus, and especially if you're putting out a lot of videos, like you don't really, I feel like under stress to answer to every single person's questions and whatever. But also another thing is that I don't want to become like, there's a lot of awesome comments and like a lot of people are so positive in my videos, but I don't want to, like, you know, because of those people start responding to everybody, because then there's going to be people that I don't really feel like responding to, or that I feel like it's just a lot. I'm trying to downsize my life, but I do read all the comments and I really appreciate them. Nate, like, I totally want to do a live stream, by the way, and I haven't, like, just moving around all the time, it's not really conducive, and also like not everywhere always has the best Wi-Fi, so it's just not conducive to doing a live stream that's gonna work and be easy to watch. And but I do want to do it eventually. I want to do a live stream. I really enjoy the live stream, so thanks for saying that. And there were a few questions, comments, or like some really awesome comments. There was someone was asking a few questions. One was asking if I am autistic or neurodivergent. That's what the person asked. And it's really interesting that you asked that, because I've actually been, a lot of people have actually asked me if I'm autistic. That's just teachers, friends, whatever, like, have you ever gotten evaluated for that? And the answer is that I've never really been motivated to, just because it doesn't affect my life. I'm not, you know, I don't work in a corporate world. I don't work a 9-to-5 job. I don't live in the States. So, and I mean, I was living in the States, but I wasn't really planning to stay there. I knew always that I wanted to move offshore. So kind of trying to fit myself in a factory lifestyle wasn't anyways something that I needed to do. I don't know if that really answers the question. It doesn't answer the question, but I did get myself at a proper psych evaluation when I was in DC. It was on the heels of just a lot of stuff that I was going through. I mean, up and down. I had left the religious community. I was finding myself. I was absent to a lot of my feelings. Like, I wasn't even in touch with a lot of my feelings. I was very emotionally avoidant. I was dating, okay, I don't even know if I can call it dating, because it was literally just like one night stand after another, just avoidance. I was going through a cycle of emotional avoidance in my relationships, and my, you know, just not wanting to deal with going to the next thing, not wanting to deal with it, going to the next thing, not wanting to deal with my feelings, because there's just so many feelings, and I was going crazy. And I also had to work, and I was working like 9-to-5 office jobs in DC. So everybody that I knew was like, and so I was like basically drowning my feelings, and everybody that I knew, most of the people I knew were on some kind of drugs, prescription medications. So I was talking to people, and I was like, oh, maybe I should try this too. So I went to a psychiatrist, and I've said this story like a million times. So I went to the psychiatrist, paid $270 for a 15-minute consultation. I'm not exaggerating. And this was even while I still had health insurance. I was on my parents' health insurance. So I did that, and the psychiatrist, you know, he asked me what are my problems. 15 minutes. I mean, I gave him, it was barely 15 minutes. I gave him a rundown. I was like, yeah, I feel up and down. I feel crazy. I feel like just life is moving so fast. And there was a lot happening. I was traveling too, because I was doing journalism, and then I was I don't even know. I was doing so much and I was losing my mind. And I knew so many people, and I was like, believe it or not, I was kind of famous in DC. People knew me, and I was just going to like events and doing things all the time. And so anyways, the psychiatrist was like, okay, well, it sounds like you're up and down a lot. Maybe let's try some bipolar medication on you. And he's like, do you think you might be? Well, I was like, oh yeah, I've heard that I might be bipolar. Because people told me that. So this is, by the way, now this is so crazy to me. Like, all these things are so crazy. Just deal with your emotions. Just love people, deal with the emotions. This is like the thing that Americans, the culture doesn't allow you to do, because they're just so like, sit down, be humble, drink your medication, be a good girl, be a slave, sit, work at 9 to 5, it's part of the culture. It's very factory-like. People don't really acknowledge emotions. Their parents don't have emotions. So if your child is showing anything resembling an emotion, most people, instead of thinking, hey, maybe there's like a root behind this, hey, maybe it might be ancestral, maybe like this, there's something in this child's life or body or energy that's bothering them. Maybe they don't even know it. Maybe let's explore what's happening. No. There's no time when you're a factory slave worker. There's no time for any of that. It's just straight to let's just find out what the $1 million diagnosis is, so that we can put you on like brain altering medications for the rest of your life. But anyways, I don't want to get too much into that, because it makes Americans very emotional. But anyways, so I started to go on a antipsychotic medication for my bipolar. And I won't say the name. I don't know why. But it's okay, fine. It was Lamictal. So Lamictal is an antipsychotic medication for bipolar disorder, and it's actually known as one of like the least chemically invasive. It's like known as one of the best bipolar medications. But anyways, at the time it was covered by my insurance, and I think I just paid like $30 for a bottle. Something like that. Like, it was like mostly covered by my insurance, but I still had to pay like a copay every time I got a bottle of those pills. So we started on one bottle, and then I was like going back to the doctor, $270 for 15 minutes, but I can't even believe like $270 is more than the cost of rent in anyways. So I would go to these doctor's appointments each time and be like, it's not working. And he'd be like, well, maybe you want to try this other thing. There's Seroquel. Seroquel is like, it's another like very heavy. For me, it was very heavy. I don't know who's taken Seroquel, but it's like, for anxiety, it's, it just makes you sleep. It just calms you down and makes you sleep. And I did that. And then, so, just trying different things. And I did this for about a year, and it became very expensive, because that was the same year that I turned 26. I'm 30 now. So like I turned like 26 that year. And, every time that we like upped the dosage, it was, there were certain, I wasn't seeing results, and it takes a while to see results from what it sounds like, but it was like a year and I wasn't seeing results, and I was just upping the dosage each month, and I was starting to have memory loss. I was starting to forget things, and I wasn't sure what it was from. Is it from this and that? And then, I'm feeling kind of scatterbrained. I'm getting bored at work. Oh, here's Ritalin. Here's a prescription for Ritalin. And because ADHD. And so ADHD, by the way, is on the autism spectrum. But it's everybody could have a little bit of autism. Technically, like everything is on the spectrum, right? Everybody could have some anxiety. Everybody can be a little bit depressed. Like, you can take every single person and like, I don't know if you guys could tell, by the way, I have a rash. It's not from my necklace. It's from, oddly enough, I think it's bacterial. But anyways, see, there's my ADHD. But no, I don't take any medications right now. And in fact, it was getting to a point where like I was like, each of these drugs, I turned 26, so I got off of my parents' health insurance, and I was like, wow, I want to move offshore eventually, and these drugs are so expensive. And I was looking up like the cost of drugs offshore, and like, oh my god, it's even more expensive, which it is. Like these drugs would be even more expensive outside of the States, because there are special brands that make these drugs. And they were, once I got off of the health insurance and I was in between insurance, it cost about $600 per like a little bottle for, and usually it wasn't just one bottle. You had, because you were taking a certain amount, they were ramping up the dosage, it was usually more than one bottle. So I basically got to a point where I realized, and I'm so lucky to be me. I'm so glad that I decided to think for myself, because if I hadn't and I just kept doing that forever, I would have never have if I had never questioned that what that psychiatrist was putting me on, I probably would have a lot of issues today from being on these drugs that have like really serious side effects. They change your brain, they change your ability to cope with, because a lot of these drugs force you into avoidance. So like the way that your emotions become resolved is like through processing them, right? Like you're in a situation that causes you to feel something, whatever time of your life it is, and the way that it's like a feeling that comes through your body and it passes through your body, it like washes over your body, right? If your system is too overwhelmed to like, for those feelings to wash out of your body, sometimes it can traumatize you. It can overload your system, and you never get to process those feelings. And so I think, I don't even know what I was talking about, but a lot of these drugs make it so that you don't ever process the feelings. And the thing is, like, when that emotional energy is like in you for so long and it never gets resolved, it becomes it becomes a part of you. It becomes a part of your personality. People become bitter. People long term. People become cynical, or whatever the drug is. Every drug is different, and so like for me, it was like I wanted to use it as a crutch. Like I wanted to use it as a launching pad, and I think a lot of people use prescription drugs with that intention, that like I just want it to be something that helps me get to the next phase where I have more tools to like heal myself and actually tend to my emotional needs or my body's needs or whatever the needs are. But a lot of people get stuck on them, and so for me, the fear after about doing this for like about a year, I developed a certain fear that was, what if because it's very expensive, these drugs are very expensive, and I wasn't on health insurance yet, and I was trying to get one, but like, so the fear was, what if I end up becoming stuck with these drugs? Like if I get off of them, I will be ruined, so I will need them. What if I get stuck with these drugs and they're very expensive and stuff, and then I can't get off of it, and I go to another country, and then I have to, like, in order to get off of it, people are like, oh, don't get off of your medication. Like they get so scared, right? Which I'm sure there's people have experienced traumas related to that. I just didn't want to get stuck in that. I don't want to, I want to be healthy. And I knew that, and I was self-aware of my life enough to know that a lot of these emotions were coming from a real place. Like, I'm not crazy. And it's really important to know that, because I think a lot of people don't know that about themselves. They're like, oh yeah, like I just had like this brain chemical weird thing in my brain, which it is chemical, right? Your feelings are in your body, and it's a chemical thing that's happening. But a lot of people be like, yeah, like I was basically just born crazy and like nothing matters. And so, they believe that. The people who raise them believe that, really teach them to believe that, because a lot of parents don't. They're just not emotionally aware enough or they're just not responsible enough to like accept the idea that maybe they may have like made their child feel negatively. They just have to blame it on like, oh, it's just your genetics, so you're just fucked up. So anyways, back to the question of if I am autistic or neurodivergent. So I decided after about a year that I wanted to get off of these drugs because they weren't helping me, but I was feeling lack of focus, scatterbrain. And then I was talking about this and they were like, yeah, you should, there's like these other drugs that help with the side effects of these drugs. And I was like, give me a break. At that point, I decided that I wanted to wean off of my drugs, and I didn't want to tell anybody because I knew how the culture is in America and people would get freaked out. I didn't want to be seeing a therapist. I stopped seeing my therapist because I was afraid that if I told my therapist, they might try to commit me into like a mental hospital or something like that. That's very expensive. And I have friends that it happened to, and it's not fun. If you get committed, if you tell your therapist, and this is kind of sad because a lot of people need somebody to talk to, and like the person that you're supposed to talk to, your therapist, it's sad that you have to be scared of them, that they're going to put you in a mental hospital if you say the wrong thing. So you can't really be yourself and you can't really be comfortable. So anyways, I stopped seeing my therapist. I stopped talking to everybody, and I took a flight to, I left the country. First, I spent like a month in the UK, and then I spent about a month in Peru. And then in Peru is where I have a mosquito bite. And it's really bad, actually. In Peru is where, like I went on this like hike and no phone, nothing, whatever. That's where I weaned off of my drugs, my medications. But I did it like 1 week at a time, like where I took a little bit less each week. And I did it, and then by the time I had come back from Peru, I was completely off of the medications. I had already had a lot of physical activity. I got a tan, and I was back in DC, and my friends were like, wow, you look like a new person. And I just didn't tell anybody that it was probably because I felt myself again, but I still had the issues that I was having, which was everything's all over the place. I'm scatterbrained. My life is just total chaos. My emotions are like all over the place. And so I decided to get an actual psychiatric evaluation, and they asked a lot of questions. They ruled out bipolar. Like I have never had a manic episode, but I've had a lot of panic, freakouts, panic. So basically they just found out that it's PTSD. She said PTSD and adjustment disorder. But anyways, like I never wanted to get stuck in the US medical system for any reason. It didn't feel worth it to me at all, and I always knew that I like eventually wanted to leave the country. That was like kind of the motive behind a lot of my decisions. So I never got evaluated for autism. Yeah. And, anyways, I didn't want to get, US health insurance. I didn't want to get stuck in the US work system, labor factory system. That stuff scares me. You could tell I have like a lot of emotions about it. So I just, whatever. The question, but those are really good questions. A question of if I ever considered becoming a therapist. Yes, I did, but I actually very quickly decided that I do not want to become a therapist because other people's feelings really bother me. And it's funny because if you know me personally, you know that I actually really, really want to hear about it. I want to commiserate with you. I want to talk about it with you. Like but if you're like in my personal life, and if it like, there is a very thin line for me between commiserating with you and like connecting with you, which I really enjoy a lot, and empathizing with you, and feeling like now your problem is my problem. That's a big problem for me, is feeling like other people's, and it's just boundary issues. It's like, it's really hard for me. So as a therapist, that would like kill me to be a therapist, because I would feel no strong boundaries basically between me and the people that, yeah, I would just have a really hard time with boundaries. Another question, someone said, I hope Andrew is not using you. Someone said that they hope Andrew's not using me. So on the question of whether Andrew's using me, I would say we both use each other. So we're both like very intellectual people. Like we're both very, I don't even know if that's the word to say. We're both opportunists. That's a good word. So we both are like always strategizing, both entrepreneurs, always strategizing, always trying to find out like the best solution for this or that. And we both see each other as opportunities. So we definitely use each other a lot. And I don't believe in like one-sided relationships. I feel like, I don't like it when people believe in that, even like one-sided relationships where there's like a winner and a loser. Like you're either both winning or you're both losing. Like there's never, you know, it's like, there's never like a relationship where like one person is the good guy and the other person is the bad guy. And I know like the media makes it out to be like that a lot. People are really into good and bad in relationships. I'm not saying the person who asked this is, by the way, I don't know. But I feel like people are like really into good and bad. Like this person's good, this person's evil. Is that like people are really obsessed with that? And it's like, no, everybody is everything. Like we all can be whatever. And it's just find someone that uses you in a way that works for you. And that you can use them in a way that works for, like, find like a mutual using each other kind of situation. That's like, you know, I feel like in the West, I know like I rail on the West a lot, but I really feel like in the West, women get the shorter end of the stick because they have to like do everything. They have to make the money. They have to take care of the kids. They have to be the bearer of responsibility for everything. They have to be in charge of everything and everybody. They have to like look good also at the same time. They have to like do this all under a certain age so they can also have kids. Like I just would really hate that. And that was a big fear that I had, was like, I have to be like that, you know? And yeah, it's just too much stress for me. Like I just don't like a stressful life. I'm trying to remember what other questions there were, but I just can't. Who else? One person was like, "Oh, it's all about you. Everything's about you," and yeah, that's pretty good. That's a pretty fair assessment. It is all about me because this is my channel. But thank you for watching it. This is my dress. It looks like a maternity dress, but it's very comfortable and it's like can wear it. It's actually it was like a warm day today, but I feel like the weather here is too cold. Like it's too cold at night and in the mornings, but then in the middle of the day it gets like really hot all of a sudden, so you go outside with like these like really thick sweaters and things like that. Yeah, you go outside with like these really thick sweaters, and then you like 2 hours later it's boiling hot. You have to like take everything off. You're just walking around like schlepping like a whole bunch of just heavy stuff. And even right now, like while we're sitting, the sun is like, you know, really, really intense, and then it like chills and it's really intense. I mean, I'm okay with it being like hot and tropical, because if it's rainy, then you get to wear a bathing suit all day and then you don't have to worry about it. You can just wear the same thing all day. But I feel like in this weather, it's like you have to bundle up and get really warm, and then all of a sudden it gets like really hot again, and then you have to, like, that's how it was in Bogota. It was I think it's a mountain thing. I'm gonna go inside again. This piano. Soon I'm gonna play for you guys. And like, I'm so self-conscious. So yeah. Oh. I don't know if you could tell, like there's like birds and everything in the background, and it's really nice. So yeah, I'll do the live streams again, but it probably won't be very soon. Someone was asking about like the prices, I think in Colombia. So prices in places we go to. By the way, if you guys have like any questions, like feel free to ask in the comments. But anyways, prices in places that we go to, in Colombia, it was actually, it was probably one of the cheapest places that we were in Bogota, just because it's a big city and there's like so many different options for everything. And we also did a lot of things. Like I got a deep tissue, massage every week, or sometimes more than once a week. We went rock climbing. We did a lot of things. I did pole dancing. We did a lot of things in Bogota. We went to doctors a lot in Bogota. And so those things, I don't remember it being cheaper anywhere else. Argentina, Buenos Aires was cheap, but I think people get fooled by that because it's only cheap if you, or at least when I was there, it's only cheap if you use Western Union and you only use cash. So, and you're American or like European or something, and so you're using the US dollar or the euro or whatever, and it would actually add up and it would get expensive. Actually, Buenos Aires was ironically the place where we spent the most money, despite it being like the cheapest country or the cheapest place, because of the way that it worked. Like we were, basically like because of the crazy inflation that was there, like the value of our money kept going down like every week, like because we were getting cash instantly from Western Union. It also took a really long time to get the cash. There were people like waiting in people were waiting in the lines sometimes the whole day because there's just so many people, and then sometimes they would run out of cash and then you'd be stuck like with no money, not even any money to get a cab or something. So there was the hassle of the way that you have to get that cheap money. There was a hassle of doing that, you had to do it through Western Union. But then on top of that, like because of inflation, so you would get all this cash and you'd get enough that you can last you until the next time you go to Western Union. And then also there's like safety issues, but then, so you would get enough and then the value of your money just kept going down. So, you would have to get more, and then, I don't know. I wasn't a fan of Buenos Aires, but, there is actually, I made a video about spending money in Tulum, like how cheap it was. Tulum is actually surprisingly, so Tulum is like very expensive. It's like a very touristy, south of Cancun, Playa del Carmen in Mexico. It's like kind of like a touristy nomad hub. But surprisingly for us, we actually spent the least in Tulum, which is interesting. And part of it was because we only cooked our own food, and we like barely ever went out. When we did, we did like street tacos and things like that, or like coffees, went to coffee shops. And Also, we didn't do a lot of like activities or touristy stuff like we did in Colombia. So there is a way to do it cheap wherever you go, but there's also a way to do it expensively. Like a lot of, when we first started doing this, we started going, we basically started in Cartagena, and we were like, for me, I was so sketched out by going to another country, especially like Colombia for me was like a third world country. So I actually didn't want to stay even at any Airbnbs. Like I only wanted to stay at Selena's, which is, it's like a hostel just for Western nomads. It's like a special, like everything is in English. It's very like Western friendly. And I like only wanted to stay at Selena's. So Selena's are very expensive compared to the local scene. But for us at the time, it was still considered cheap. Like we were like, oh, we only pay $1,012 a month to live in a hotel, and we have a maze, and we have like, you know, it comes with breakfast and whatever. But $1,012 a month is not cheap. And not only is it not cheap, what we got for that in Selena was a tiny micro room and we had to share the bathroom with our neighbor. So we didn't even get our own bathroom. And over time, you know, basically the way that things get cheap over time as a nomad is that you just start to become more comfortable with doing things that locals do and not only staying in the gringo hotels and stuff, and not only like doing the things that other Westerners do, and also learning how to speak the language, which a lot of Westerners refuse to do, which is whatever, it's normal. A lot of people refuse to learn English and they live in the States, so whatever. So, but if you learn the local language, everything is going to be cheaper. It's just hands down, it's going to be cheaper. So that's basically how things get cheaper over time. And yeah, it's just really hard to make that first jump. I feel bad because like I feel like my last few videos were so intense, and like I do feel like we've been so intense lately because we're so sick all the time, and it's just us and residual emotions basically. Like the stresses are gone. I just sold my second place. Like the stresses are dying down little by little. You know, I don't have to, I'm basically just like rebranding myself, my life. I've cut ties with anything and anybody that might hold me back, or that I'm scared might hold me back. And I you know, so all the fears aren't there anymore that were there when we first left the States, but the residual, like the feelings of it are still there. And I know this might sound crazy, but like I feel like us having diarrhea for the past couple months here in Chiapas, like yeah, there is diarrhea in this town, but I think part of it is also us. Like our bodies are getting rid of a lot of residual feelings. That's just my like feeling, that's my suspicion. It's not a scientific fact. So yeah, we're just basically, I think that we're just shedding a lot of residual feelings. And for me, even with these videos, like talking about stuff, being real with you guys, like a lot of that is just shedding residual feelings that are like, you know, you go through a scary situation, and I went through so many of these situations in the States growing up in my parents' house, you know, when you're a kid, and being in places like in DC, having situations, all kinds of scary things or stressful things would happen. And I feel like I would always, from wherever group of people that we were in, I was always the one that would absorb all the feelings and never be able to shut up about it. And the problem with like this attitude of even me saying like, oh, I can't shut up about it, the reason why I say this is because people in my life have always been telling me to shut up for as long as I can remember. And the thing is like, so you have your feelings, right, that happen. Like, I don't know, someone hits you with the baseball bat and then you're like, ah. So what if someone hits you with a baseball bat and you're not allowed to react? You're not able to. So let's say you're like someone ties you up and you're not even able to like, you know, your body isn't able to react and release that energy. So usually what happens is that the reaction that your body wants to do becomes bigger, because when there's avoidance, it's like water, like we said, like when you suppress something, or like a rubber band, when you try to pull it in one direction, it's gonna snap back. And emotions, I think, are like this. Like, you have your emotions about whatever happened, and then your body might naturally just release it, or you might consciously release it. But oftentimes, that is the case with a lot of us. Oftentimes, you, for whatever reason, are trained, your brain either is trained or is unable to release those emotions, and you're chronically avoidant basically of your feelings. And so like so the reaction that you might have to something, that your body might need to have to something, or like the impact that your body has to being hit or something happening to you, might be actually much bigger than somebody else's reaction or feeling. I don't even know if I'm making sense, but I think that I've just, you know, from a really young age, I've just been in situations that were like really stressful, and I had the urge to talk about it or try to commiserate about it, you know, as a little child, cry about it. But we were in like an apartment, we were crammed with a lot of people, like, so my parents, I think that I haven't even talked to them about this, but I suspect that they were, and I actually remember as I grew up, it was like this too, where I was always talking, I always wanted to vent, I always wanted to tell people, you know, my mom is doing that, and my mom said this mean thing to me, that mean thing, you know, I always wanted to talk to people, and constantly, everybody was constantly telling me to be quiet. And for me, it's always been just, whenever something happens, or, you know, there's a trauma, there's a financial difficulty, whatever there is, in DC, like we'd be in a group of friends, something would happen, I would get hurt and want to talk about it, but like everybody was always telling me to be quiet, which, looking back, very disrespectful. I just felt like people didn't respect me. People thought I had a mental problem, which, whatever, you know, the way I look, I might look already like, you know, people say I have blank stares, but like I just didn't like that it was used to control me a lot, you know, because I wasn't regarded as like being an equal to other people. Other people can release their feelings and their emotions and whatever, however they want, but me, I had to like that. I had to just like keep it in, and that's that was really hard for me. I have this rash. I don't know if you can tell. So I don't even know what I was talking to you guys about, but yeah. I just think that we've been just releasing a lot of emotions that were just trapped in our bodies that we never had the chance to release, and it's really a blessing. Like, you know, when you I think it's like when you have been, you know, at work, let's say you've been working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, you've been just working, and you're not sick at all. Your body is functioning perfectly. And then your boss gives you like 2 days off to go home and rest. So you go home from your 12-hour shift, your 7th day of the week, 12-hour shift. You go home, you lie down in bed, and all of a sudden you get sick. And you're like, gosh, I've been working so well this whole time, my body wasn't getting sick. Now that I lie down and I rest, my body gets sick. And it's just, your body has time to get sick now. It didn't have time. It was, you were just running on pure like cortisol energy, right? Like you're just in fight or flight. Your body is pumping adrenaline in you and like not letting you lie down or get sick because you have to do this thing. But now that you're giving it a chance, like getting sick is actually a really good thing. It's just a way, it's your body's way of venting, and you should get sick, especially if you've been, spent years being stressed out or dealing with this or that. So I also personally think that that's why my partner is way sicker than I am. He has much more issues and he's struggling much more than I am because I think that we have a lot of time to be sick now. We've basically created this bubble for ourselves where we can essentially just totally unravel from the events of our lives, of our personal lives. I'm not involved in his life, but like our personal stresses and stuff back in the States, we can just totally unravel, and that's been a huge blessing, and I think that's why we're sick. But I'm really hoping that after this month is over, it's gonna be much more chill, and these videos will be less like emotional or like mental health related and more just more like me doing stuff, because we do a lot of stuff like activities and things like that. But anyways, hope you guys are doing well. I want to try and play something actually. I'm so self-conscious still. Okay. Oh my god. Me gustan los aviones, me gustas tú. Me gusta viajar, me gustas tú. Me gusta la mañana, me gustas tú. Me gusta el viento, me gustas tú. Me gusta soñar, me gustas tú. Me gusta la mar, me gustas tú. ¿Qué voy a hacer? Je ne sais pas. ¿Qué voy a hacer? Je ne sais plus. ¿Qué voy a hacer? Je suis perdu. ¿Qué horas son? Mi corazón me gusta, mi channel, me gustas tú. Me gusta mi piano, me gustas tú. Me gusta mi novio, me gustas tú. Me gusta massages, me gustas tú. Me gusta hot tub, me gustas tú. Me gusta chess, me gustas tú. Anyways. See you guys.